Hi, my name is Anthony Rosario. I'm 17 years old and I attend Downers Grove North High School. I was first introduced to Praxis actually a few weeks ago by a friend of mine through the Garrett Johnson campaign. Ever since, Praxis has manifested everything I've been thinking about since its inception into my life. If you look at the most successful people in the world, there is one thing that for sure connects them, and that is a work ethic built into them at a very young age. At the age of 13, I took my mom into my room and I sat her down and I looked her in the eye and I told her my intentions for my future. I told her that I thought it was an exceptional thing for other high schoolers to get a job at Jewel Osco or as a busboy or even as a server. But for me, that wasn't for me. I wanted work experience, even if it didn't pay. I wanted that environment to network for myself, to personally carve out a young career. These skills would be seen as valuable in the future, and I knew that from a young age. I had my first job working for our now Governor Bruce Rauner, and then I was hired as a field associate, coordinating events and recruitment for Americans for Prosperity. I have worked on numerous campaigns and for various public officials. I was the go-to kid for politics in my high school. And when they say it's not what you know, it's who you know, they're absolutely right. My networking capabilities allowed me to acquire the job I have now, working at a law firm for a former mayor of Downers Grove. That is something no other kid my age can say they have done. By now, I might be sounding like the establishment kid, following a step-by-step format in a life laid out by my superiors and elders. And I'll be honest, yes, I was the quote-unquote elephant in the room, a staunch Republican. All I wanted to be was Senator Rosario. Even in school, everyone called me Mr. President. That is until I heard of a guy named Austin Peterson. Even still, he himself is a more conservative libertarian than most. However, if it hadn't been for him, I would not be the narco-capitalist that speaks before you today. Through him, I went from conservative to libertarian real quick. And of course, I began with the god of all libertarianism, Ron Paul, and kept bumping into this thing called the Mises University, which is the heart of Austrian economics. So, like the curious guy I am, I walked up to my personal economics teacher, who was a big Keynesian, by the way, and asked what this new economic theory was to me. In his words, he told me to stay away and to be extremely careful when it came to that form of economics, that it was so dangerous and was the origin of trickle-down economics. So, of course, I had to find out for myself. I attended the Mises University at the Institute in Alabama during the summer of 2016 and graduated there. There, I met a guy named Walter Block. He pitched this crazy idea that I had fallen in love with. If it moves, privatize it. If it doesn't move, privatize that too. I adored every word that came from that man. He dealt with the issue of privatizing the roads, which, if you're a libertarian, you kind of get tired of the roads memes. But this man, who was influenced from another of my favorite philosophers, Hans Hermann Hoppe, spoke about these great and large concepts, which I absolutely loved. He challenged everything I once knew and opened my eyes to an economic field that questioned everything. So, on the first day of school, I had AP Macroeconomics in second period, with that same teacher I'd asked about the Mises University before. I walked in wearing my Mises University shirt and said, word for word, "You were right, Mr. Smith. Freedom is a dangerous thing." This quality I have of always expressing a need of truth and the drive for something more is what mostly differentiates me from everyone else. I don't think like everyone else. My education for my entire life has been based through rubrics and standardized tests and common core curriculums. Ugh. And I always end up asking the question, why? What does this prepare us for? What am I doing right now? What am I doing with the time of my life right now, doing some common core material? And I don't want to appear like the cliche rebel from the Breakfast Club, but what does school actually prepare us for today? does it prepare us for college? And if so, what does that prepare us for? This system of education is broken. The college market bubble has formed, and it does not look promising. The next generation of our entire country's workforce is going to be holding some form of college debt. And when that bubble does pop, I would rather not be on the wrong side of that. Praxis is an escape to work outside that system by continuously educating the minds of the future pioneers of industry. Once that has occurred, a revolution will take place. Not a violent one or a political one, but one about how we see education and production. If not, maybe I'm just imagining things. But I have big ideas and much potential. I don't wish to be constricted or told how to do things. I want to create. I want to build and to grow. I can dream. Any business or person can value that. The virtue of Praxis is not to fall to a system, that you can begin your future, your adventure of a lifetime for your future, creating things far beyond yourself as an entrepreneur and as a free individual. Why wait 4 years when you have the ability and potential that Praxis can further enlighten now? There is a reason for this opportunity to join Praxis. Things like this just don't fall out of the sky. It has been to my deepest understanding that certain people and certain movements and ideas have a way of finding each other, either through destiny or fate. But I believe I can be a part of something bigger through Praxis. And I believe Praxis can be something bigger through me. Nothing great comes without a risk, and I'm willing to do just that. Praxis is my escape and my beginning. My question for Praxis: are you ready for me?